Hey there. Um, how's it going? I decided to wear my best shirt today. Hope you appreciate um, my second best shirt. I do have a flannel that I wore a couple days ago that looks pretty good. Um, in all seriousness, my fashion sense is pretty horrific, so if anyone has any advice, I desperately need it apparently. Um, but, anyways, let me start with a story today. I As any normal human being who is around my age, go to the gym. And yesterday I went to the gym, and I'm fortunate where I live, I can walk to the gym, which is pretty sweet. And I was beginning my walk to the gym, and I saw my neighbor, who I have known years previous. Um, he was fixing his car or whatever, and we had a short, small, talky conversation, and then we parted ways. But he said he was coming to the gym. I'm like, okay, great. Didn't think much of it. In the gym, getting my pump as you do, and I, see him in the gym or whatever, and then we wave at each other, what have you. I finish the workout, exit the gym, and then he rounds the corner as I'm, walking home. So essentially, we have this walk home together, which is pretty chill, just talking about different stuff. And then he's like, hey, we should go see a movie. I was like, okay, I don't really normally, or at least not recently, go out of my way to go see a movie, but I will. And, scrolling through the different movies, like, we should go see Nosferatu, And I had never seen a Robert Eggers movie and wasn't particularly passionate about horror, but it sounded good, so why not? So we pick a time, I just walk right over once the time is there, and there's a massive line, whatever, yada yada. I actually used to work at the movie theater, so I, was talking with people I knew there, different employees, big management change, blah 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 blah, just small talking as you do. And then we take our seats and we watch this. It must have been 2.5 hours of a movie. It was pretty long. And if you have seen Nosferatu, or if you haven't, it's not really relevant. You can, assume a picture like that is, pretty horrific. It's a horror movie. It's a thriller movie. It's about a gruesome, grotesque vampire, coming to infiltrate the life of Nicholas Hoult and Johnny Depp's daughter, Like, it's pretty frightening. Even more frightening than The Idol, if you saw that. That was not The Weeknd's best work. He should not quit his day job, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, I had previously watched a podcast that was kind of stuck in my head talking about horror movies and how horror movies, this is kind of conspiratorial, but not really, I'll get to the point. Horror movies are generally not going to make Hollywood a profit. They're instead used to create horrifying images in your subconscious. And so, therefore, you'll profit, they'll profit off of your, fears and insecurities, right? So, for example, the killer clown stuff or hitchhiker movies or any genre, like, the more they can make you afraid of your neighbor, make you afraid of anything, the more likely you are to be a compliant consumer. And so I had watched this podcast, and I hadn't watched a horror movie until yesterday. And when I was leaving the theater, it was fine. I had my friend there. But when I got home, it's kind of a bit laughable, but you're scared to be in the dark a little bit. You have this kind of eerie feeling in the back of your head. And it's like, yeah, no wonder. If I was an alcoholic, if I was not even an alcoholic, if I drank occasionally, I totally would have gone out of my way to have a drink or eat something or another to kind of suppress down this feeling. And sure, I mean, it's no credible claim to be made that every single big multinational conglomerate is connected in their profit earnings, but I think there's something to be said about creating a general feeling of fear in the general populace. Like, if you want to control someone, one of the best ways to do that is make them afraid. Now, my second point against horror movies, the first one being that you are damaging your conscience a little bit, your critical thinking, by jamming horrific images into your subliminal mindset. Well, my second argument against it is, why would you ever want to stimulate your mind and corrupt your fear mechanism? Like, if you are repeatedly stimulated with, different gruesome images, eventually, not in a dramatic sense, but in a very minute sense, your senses will become more stunted and dull, and you'll have less of a reaction. And then you're going to kind of numbify yourself. Same thing happens when you watch mainstream news, right? Like, the first, any sort of event. For example, recently, the LA wildfires, right? Like, the first time you heard about the concept of a wildfire, you probably would have been horrified. But I don't know if you're just like me or I'm the abnormality here, but I doubt it. I kind of saw the news and was like, at least it's not me. And I don't want to lessen the impact and effects. And if you have been impacted by the LA fire, my heart goes out to you. But my point is like, a normal human reaction to such an event has been so lessened because of our amount of exposure to it. And so, with my last 2 minutes here, I would just argue that you consciously think what ideas and what images you're putting into your mind. This video was about horror movies, and a little bit of a side point here, like, I've experienced this twice in my life, watching this movie, but then watching Midsommar, that's a horrific movie too, man. That's crazy. And that movie sticks with me, and I can see some of those images still. And like, why am I polluting my mind with that stuff, man? Like, I'm just gonna increase my anxiety, increase all the neuroses in myself that I might have or might not have, and it's gonna be like a bad impact on myself. So any sort of thing, not just media, food, etc. Think about what you're putting into your body and into your mind, because it does have a very direct impact on your health, mental and physical and otherwise. I'm a big proponent of, and something I'll probably broach in the near future, being very anti-pornography. And like, the same thing happens where it's like, you watch your 10th horror movie, you're going to be less scared than you were on your first one. You see your first picture of explicit nature, it has some effect on you. But the 10,000th one, the millionth one, however many I've seen in my life, and so many other young men and women, it has less of an impact. It's just another scroll, another click, etc. So, I would urge you to at least try to consider, what you're consuming. Maybe close the YouTube for a little bit, man. Like, it's not worth it. And try to read a book, man. That's really the conclusion. Read a book. That's my last urging of today. So, Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.